get 50 likes on this extras video, I will post the second part.
What happens next? George Martin is still writing the next books to finish the series, but there's lots of foreshadowing and theories about what will happen in The Winds of Winter. In the TV show, Jon gets resurrected. When he comes back to life, he's tired and sad, borderline suicidal for a while, but his personality stays mostly the same. In the books, death will change Jon. George Martin says death is a transformative experience. His characters who come back from death have lost something. When Beric Dondarrion dies and is resurrected, he loses his memories and his identity. When Catelyn dies and is resurrected, she becomes a scary zombie called Lady Stoneheart, who's consumed with hate and revenge. George says that if someone suffers a violent traumatic death, they're not going to come back as nice as ever. So how will death change Jon? In the TV show, Jon's resurrection is simple. Melisandre gives him a prayer and a hit, and he comes back to life. But in the books, Jon's resurrection will be complicated, because there are hints that Jon's soul will go inside his direwolf ghost. The books explain that when a skin changer dies, their spirit can live on in their animal. It's called a second life. We saw Arel live on in his eagle after he died. Then we see the skin changer Varamir live on in his wolf. Varamir thinks that Jon is a powerful warg, and that Ghost would be a second life worthy of a king. Melisandre has a vision of Jon being a man, then a wolf, then a man again, hinting that Jon will live inside Ghost for a while, then will come back in his human body. In Book 5, Jon's connection with Ghost gets stronger. He feels that he and Ghost are one, and when Jon is stabbed, his last word is Ghost. So these are strong hints that Jon's ghost will live on in Ghost for a while. But why? The books say that skin changing changes your personality. It makes you more like your animal. When someone has a second life in their wolf, their human memory slowly fades till only the beast remains. So being in Ghost could make Jon less human and more wolfish. Ned says that Brandon and Lyanna Stark had the wolf blood, making them wild and reckless. Jon is sometimes aggressive and impulsive in the books. He attacks Alyssa twice, and has a violent outburst in training. Usually, Jon controls these emotions, suppresses his desires. He thinks, I am a man, not a wolf. But being murdered and then soul-merged with his beast might finally unleash Jon's wolf blood, making him a more reckless, dangerous character, more focused on his own desires. And this would be similar to Daenerys' storyline, because in Book 5, like Jon, Daenerys tries to make peace. She suppresses her own desires for the sake of politics and the greater good. But at the end of the book, like Jon, she has a downfall, and this crisis changes her. As she wanders the Dothraki Sea alone, she has visions from Quaithe that remind her of her Targaryen identity. Daenerys rejects peace and embraces her desires for fire and blood, and to go home to Westeros. So Jon might embrace his desires to go home to Winterfell. And Jon could also have visions. He's already had visions from Bloodraven and from Bran through Ghost, so maybe as a spirit in Ghost he'll have more visions. Jon could find out that Bran and Rickon are still alive. Bloodraven could tell him his destiny to become king in the north and defeat the White Walkers, to fulfill the prophecy of Azor Ahai. Visions could reveal secrets, unlock power, and give Jon new purpose to pursue his destiny. Though, in this world, visions and dreams can be destructive. Sinister forces might use visions to influence people. Can Jon trust his visions, or is Bloodraven manipulating him? Jon's spirit could stay in Ghost for a while. Maybe as a wolf he'll roam beyond the wall and find Uncle Benjen, or learn the secrets of the White Walkers. He could go to Hardhome, or help Bran come south. He could have lots of adventures, gallivanting through the woods in the brain of a wolf, tripping on visions. But Jon won't be a dog forever. Eventually, he'll be resurrected in his human body. And like in the TV show, it'll probably be Melisandre who does it. In the book, Melisandre says, "You'll have grave need of me, and I am your only hope." When Jon is resurrected, there might be a cost. Because when Beric resurrects Stoneheart, Beric dies. When Miri heals Drogo, Daenerys' baby dies. When Daenerys hatches dragons, Miri dies. Melisandre says only death can pay for life. A great gift requires a great sacrifice. So what sacrifice will pay for Jon's life? Maybe Melisandre will sacrifice herself, or maybe Ghost will die. If Jon and Ghost's spirits are merged together, will there be anything left of Ghost to live in Ghost's body? Melisandre says King's blood is a particularly powerful sacrifice, so maybe the sacrifice will be King Mance, or King Stannis, or Princess Shireen. Melisandre prophesies that King's blood will wake a dragon from stone, and Shireen has stony grayscale, so maybe the dragon is Jon Targaryen, awoken from the sacrifice of stony Shireen. It's also possible that no one will die, because when Thoros resurrects Beric, no one dies. Instead, the cost is Beric's humanity. He loses his memories and identity, so maybe it'll be the same with Jon. He'll come back to life, but at the cost of his soul. In the TV show, after his resurrection, Jon looks the same, just with some sexy new scars. But in the books, Jon's appearance might change. Because when Catelyn is resurrected, her hair goes white and her eyes go red. Theon's hair goes white after his symbolic death and rebirth. So maybe Jon will also get white hair and red eyes, because that would have a lot of symbolic meaning. Ghost has white hair and red eyes, like Bloodraven and the Weirwoods. White hair would make Jon look more like a Targaryen, like his father Rhaegar, and red eyes would be like Melisandre's red eyes, connecting Jon to the fire god R'hllor. George says that Beric is a white animated by fire instead of by ice. So will Jon be a fire white, or will he be an ice white, like Cold Hands? Maybe Bloodraven and Melisandre's magic could both help resurrect Jon, combining the old gods and R'hllor, Stark and Targaryen, making Jon a white of ice and fire. Patchface.
I don't know what I just fucking listened to right then. Oh, holy shit. I almost don't want to finish this video just because he's speculating. This is all speculation. There's no more books he's talking about. So he's just speculating. I love the fucking speculation though. Holy, it's so good. This is so good. Okay. I'm gonna give it a break for a little while and come back because I need a minute. All right, we'll continue.
Face calls Jon the Crow and says under the sea the crows are white as snow. Under the sea is a metaphor for death, so this could be a hint that undead Jon will have white hair and pale skin. When Jon was a kid, he once covered himself in flour to make himself pale white like a ghost. In the TV show, they call Jon the White Wolf. So there are lots of hints that Jon's death will give him pale skin, white hair, and red eyes, showing that he's not just back to normal, Jon is changed. He's undead. There are perks to being undead. Beric and Cold Hands and Melisandre don't need to eat or sleep. It could be useful for Jon to not have to eat or sleep if he has to fight a war or travel the frozen north, but there are downsides to being undead. Beric loses memories. Stoneheart can hardly speak. They look like ugly, scary zombies. They're wounded and rotted. Their hearts don't beat. Will Jon become a hideous zombie? If his heart doesn't beat, will his penis still work? That could be disappointing for Daenerys. One theory is that after he's killed, Jon's corpse will be kept in an ice cell in the wall. Bran has a vision of Jon sleeping in a cold bed with his skin growing pale and cold, and Aemon says that the cold of the wall preserves. So an ice cell might prevent Jon's body from rotting. And unlike Beric and Catelyn, Jon is a warg. His spirit won't die, it'll live on in ghost, so maybe that will help to protect his mind and memories. So hopefully Jon won't be too much of a zombie, but he will have changed. Aemon said, "Kill the boy and let the man be born." Jon the boy has been killed, so what new man will be born? Living in Ghost could unleash his wolf blood, make him more violent and reckless. He might have visions from Bloodraven, giving him revelations and new purpose. He might look different with white hair and red eyes, a white of ice and fire. The Night's Watch Oath.
Is Bran not a three-eyed raven in the books? Or have you not gotten to that point? I don't know. I think I'm wrong.
Says, my watch won't end until my death. So after Jon's death, he's arguably free from his vows. He can finally leave the Night's Watch.
True.
So what will Jon do in the Winds of Winter? After Catelyn and Beric's resurrections, they focus on their final missions. Catelyn wants revenge for the Red Wedding. Beric fights in the Riverlands. George says that purpose is part of what's animating him. So after Jon's resurrection, he might be focused on his final mission, to fight Ramsay, save Arya, and take Winterfell. He can finally do what he's wanted to do since Book 1, ride south. In the TV show, Stannis dies, and Jon fights the Battle of the Bastards to beat the Boltons and take Winterfell. But in the books, it might be Stannis who defeats the Boltons. There are hints that he'll fake his own death and will win a battle on a frozen lake. So by the time Jon gets to Winterfell, Stannis might have already won the war. There could be multiple battles. Jon might fight Ramsay later. The Stark direwolves might be involved, symbolizing Jon reuniting with his Stark wolf pack. But if Jon does fight the Boltons, it won't be like the TV show. It won't just be Jon surviving through dumb luck and punching Ramsay in the face 21 times. Like all of Book Jon's conflicts, it'll be a moral and emotional test. In the TV show, Ramsay has Jon's brother Rickon, and Jon tries to save Rickon, but Rickon dies anyway. There's no meaningful choice or lesson here for TV Jon. Rickon's death just happens. But maybe in the book, Jon will make a moral choice. Like maybe Ramsay will tell Jon not to attack or else he'll kill Rickon. But since Jon is now more reckless and because he wants Winterfell, Jon attacks anyway and causes Rickon's death. This would show that Jon has changed, that he's willing to risk innocent lives to get what he wants. And this could also create conflict between Jon and Sansa, who might blame Jon for Rickon's death. Jon could finally reclaim the home of the Starks, but at the cost of alienating his Stark siblings, losing the very family he always wanted. This is just speculation, but Jon's battles in the Winds of Winter will explore what kind of person he's become after his resurrection. Wow. What will Jon sacrifice to take Winterfell? Once the Boltons are defeated, Stannis might go to the Night Fort and die there, possibly killed by White Walkers after he sacrifices Shireen. So who will rule Winterfell and the North? In the TV show, the Northern Lords make Jon the king in the North, even though it should be Sansa who gets Winterfell, because she's the eldest known surviving true-born Stark. In the show, the Lords ignore the line of succession and just make Jon king because he's a cool guy. But in the books, Jon has an actual legal claim to Winterfell. Because in Book 3, Robb Stark wants Jon to be his heir as King in the North. He considers legitimizing Jon to make him a true Stark, not a bastard. So Robb writes a will, and the books don't show us what the will says, but it probably names Jon as the next King in the North. Not everyone knows about Robb's will, but Mage Mormont and Galbert Glover know, and they go to Howland Reed in the Neck. Howland was at the Tower of Joy, where Jon was born, so he might know about Jon's real parents. Mage's daughter is with Stannis' army, with the Mountain Clansmen, and 2 clan leaders visit Jon, and Jon suspects that these guys have some secret purpose. Edmure also knows about Robb's will, and 2 of Edmure's men go up to the wall. Stoneheart knows about Robb's will, and she has Robb's crown, and she travels to the Neck, where Howland and Mage and Galbert are. So there's a theory that these characters have a conspiracy to make Jon king in the North, because the North remembers Ned Stark's legacy of leadership, and Jon is seen as the heir to that legacy. That's why Alice Karstark comes to Jon, because he's Ned Stark's son. That means something in the North. So these Northmen might reveal Robb's will and declare Jon the king in the North. The problem with that is that there are 2 other northern conspiracies happening. Lord Wyman Manderley plans to make Rickon Lord of Winterfell. Littlefinger plans to use Sansa and the Vale to claim the North. Plus, Bran is still alive, and the real Arya will return, and all of these Starks arguably have a better claim to Winterfell than Jon does. Robb's will was written on the assumption that Bran and Rickon were dead, so is Robb's will definitive? Does a legitimized bastard like Jon come before a trueborn child like Sansa? The laws of succession in Westeros are vague and subjective, and there are lots of different political factions at play here. This could be a messy inheritance struggle, dividing the Stark family, and creating deep conflict within Jon. He'll be torn between his loyalty to his siblings and his desire to be the Stark of Winterfell. In the TV show, Jon doesn't want to be the king in the North. It's another thing that just happens to TV Jon, without his choice. Then there's this weird conflict where Sansa is envious of Jon, and Arya threatens to kill Sansa. It's one of the worst plotlines in the show, partly because Jon has no agency or stakes in the conflict because he doesn't want Winterfell. But in the books, Jon does want Winterfell. As a boy, he used to dream that one day Winterfell might be his. Jon has a dream where he cuts off Robb's head and screams, "I am the Lord of Winterfell." When Stannis offers him Winterfell, Jon wants it more than anything, and his resurrection might make him even more focused on his own desires. Jon could be a great king in the North. He's an experienced leader, he's smart and compassionate, he knows about northern politics, he's respected by Northmen, he wants to make peace and unify against the White Walkers. There's lots of foreshadowing that Jon will be a king. It seems like his destiny. But becoming king in the North will have a cost. He might get Rickon killed or piss off Sansa. He might get lots of wildlings killed in battle, and the Night's Watch could fall apart without him. To become the Stark of Winterfell, Jon might lose his families, lose the Watch, lose the wildlings, lose the Starks, and without them, what's the point of having Winterfell? Jon was never close with Sansa or Rickon, but he loves Arya. Throughout the books, Jon and Arya miss each other often and try to reunite. Jon dies largely because he wants to save Arya, so it'll be super emotional when they finally get back together. In the TV show, this is a mostly happy reunion, but in the books, it could be darker and sadder. Because Jon and Arya have been through so much. Arya suffered at Harrenhal, joined a death cult, murdered people, and she's still just 11 years old. Jon lost his lover, fought in battles, got murdered. They're both traumatized by death and have lost their identities. Jon is not just Jon the Bastard anymore. He's now an undead Stark king. He's Lord Snow, not Jon. And Arya has changed her name and her face so many times that she's not Arya, she's no one. Jon and Arya have changed so much that they might not recognize each other. In the books, characters often don't recognize each other, like Theon and Asher don't recognize each other. It shows how characters have changed, exploring themes of identity and perception. Arya is constantly not recognized by people, and she specifically worries that Jon won't recognize her, and Jon wonders if he'll recognize Arya. Jon has already met a fake Arya. He thought Alice was Arya, but she wasn't, and Ramsay's wife Jane is another fake Arya, so when Jon finally meets the real Arya, he might think she's another fake. They could recognize each other later, but the point could be that after everything they've been through, Jon and Arya can't have their happy, innocent relationship ever again. So Winterfell might not be the happy homecoming Jon wanted, because the Starks have changed, the family may be divided. Jon's identity is still torn between the Starks and the Watch and the Wildlings, and his hidden Targaryen identity haunting his dreams. Maybe Jon will abdicate as king in the North and let Sansa rule instead, because Jon has more wars to fight. The White Walkers are coming, and Daenerys will arrive with her dragons. In a dream of spring, Jon will fight the final battles of ice and fire. In the TV show, Jon and Daenerys fall in love, and there are hints this will happen in the books too. Daenerys has a vision of a blue flower on a wall of ice, filling the air with sweetness. The flower could be Jon, because his mother Lyanna loved blue roses, and the sweetness could be Jon and Daenerys' love. Jon and Dany have a lot in common. They're both young leaders who want to protect people. They both want family and home. They've both suffered trauma and loss and transformative magic. Jon is attracted to confident, capable women like Ygritte, like Val, and Dany. And Daenerys is attracted to bad boy warriors with great hair like Drogo and Daario. Jon may be more violent and have cooler hair after his resurrection. so it makes sense that Jon and Dany could fall in love. They also work as a political alliance. King Jon and Queen Daenerys could unite the North and South. Icy Jon and Fiery Daenerys fit the series title, A Song of Ice and Fire. Daenerys' dragons are the perfect weapon to destroy the army of the dead, so together they could burn the White Walkers, get married, have babies, and rule Westeros happily ever after. What could go wrong? Jon will learn the truth about his parents. That he's not Ned's bastard, he's the son of Lyanna Stark with Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Jon is arguably the rightful king of Westeros, and if Rhaegar and Lyanna were secretly married, like in the TV show, Jon is a trueborn Targaryen, not a bastard. And there are a few ways Jon could discover this. Howland Reed might tell Jon, because Howland was there when Jon was born, and George Martin has teased that Howland will be important. Or maybe Benjen will tell Jon about his parents. It would be more emotionally impactful for Jon to learn the truth from his beloved uncle. Benjen and Howland were both at the Harrenhal tourney, where Rhaegar and Lyanna probably got together, so they could tell Jon what his parents' relationship was really like. Like in the TV show, Jon may learn this in the Winterfell crypts. Jon has those recurring dreams of the crypts, where he's searching for his father, and he has to come down here. There are theories that Jon will find proof of his parents in the crypts, like Rhaegar's harp or a hidden message in Lyanna's tomb. There are rumors of hidden dragon eggs in the crypts, which could be a metaphor for Jon discovering his dragon identity. George uses the same metaphor with egg hatching into a Targaryen. And Jon discovering his identity in the stone crypts could fulfill the prophecy of a dragon waking from stone. Jon will enter the crypts as Ned's bastard, and will emerge a Targaryen dragon. So what will the truth of his parents mean to him? Jon might be angry that Ned lied, that Jon was never a bastard. He might be horrified that his mother Lyanna was a teenager who died birthing him, and that Prince Rhaegar hooked up with her probably to fulfill a prophecy, sparking a war that killed thousands. Jon's grandfather was the evil Mad King, and that's like finding out that your dad is Darth Vader. And Jon's lover, Daenerys, is his aunt, which is like finding out Princess Leia is your sister. It's like poetry, it rhymes. In the TV show, Jon doesn't want to be a Targaryen. But for this revelation to have meaning, it's got to have some impact on Jon. Because Jon's story was always a search for identity. He felt rejected by the Starks, and that's why he joined the Night's Watch. Why he was tempted by the Wildlings and by Stannis' offer. Being a Targaryen could finally give Jon a family. He'd be royalty, alongside Queen Daenerys, with ancestral homes at King's Landing and Dragonstone. In the show, Jon gets a new name, Aegon Targaryen. In the books, there's already several Aegons, so Jon's name might be Aemon or Jaehaerys Targaryen. Even as a child, Jon felt connected to Targaryens. He idolized King Daeron Targaryen. Maester Aemon Targaryen was Jon's beloved mentor, and with Daenerys, he could further explore his Targaryen side. Jon could bond with the dragon Rhaegal, who was named after Jon's father, Rhaegar. When Jon rides Rhaegal in flight, experiences that joy and power, he may embrace a Targaryen identity. In the books, there's a magical connection between dragon and rider. Jon might start to have dragon dreams, visions of future triumph and doom, because dragons represent the intoxicating lure of power, of ambition and destruction. Dragons could wake the fire in Jon's blood, connecting him to his Targaryen heritage and to Daenerys' war for the throne. In the TV show, Jon doesn't want to be king of Westeros, but Book Jon might want his rightful throne, because he's always wanted justice and to protect the innocent. With the Wildlings, he learned a whole new political ideology of freedom and equality. He has increasingly used political power to make change. In Book 5, he tries to unite the North to save the world, but he fails and dies because he doesn't have enough power. If Jon took the Iron Throne as a Targaryen Dragon King, maybe then he could unite the realm, save the world, and do justice. Much like Jon's great-great-grandfather, King Egg, Aegon V. Because Egg also wanted to do justice and to protect the vulnerable, but he was frustrated by rebellions. So Egg tried to get dragons so that he could use their power for good. But in the end, Egg's quest for dragons led to death and tragedy at Summerhall. Daenerys also seems headed for destruction, despite her good intentions. So, like other Targaryens, Jon will be tempted by the power of fire and blood, embodied by his dragon Rhaegal. He'll want to use this power for good, but he'll see that dragons are destructive. They kill innocent people. Fire burns. In the TV show, Daenerys fights a war against Cersei, but in the books, she might fight young Griff, a false dragon who claims to be a Targaryen. Their war could be a new dance of the dragons, and everywhere the dragons danced, the people died. Daenerys' war will cause death and devastation. So Jon will ask himself, is it okay to kill innocent people to win the throne? He may be tempted to make sacrifices, but Jon will also think of Ned Stark's morality. Ned taught justice, mercy, to protect the innocent. Donal taught Jon empathy for common folk. The Wildlings taught him the precious, fleeting beauty of life. If Jon burns thousands to save the realm, what has he saved, and what has he become? This is a moral struggle, and it's also a question of identity. Is Jon destined to be a fiery Targaryen because he has Rhaegar's blood, or can he choose to be like Ned, the father who raised Jon? This is the Song of Ice and Fire, the battle within Jon's heart. Jon might also be tempted by Melisandre, because in Book 5, Melisandre urges Jon to use her magic and visions. Jon doesn't trust Melisandre at first, but throughout the book, she gradually wins him over. She makes a bunch of correct predictions, so in his last chapter, Jon wants to use Melisandre's visions. When Jon is killed by daggers in the dark, and then resurrected by Melisandre, that will prove her power even more. In the TV show, after Stannis dies, Melisandre says that Jon is the prophesied hero Azor Ahai. TV Jon is not interested in prophecy, but Book Jon might listen, because Book Jon reads about Azor Ahai. He dreams of fighting the dead with a flaming sword. After he's reborn as a fire wight with the magic of R'hllor, he may believe that he's destined to save the world, like Rhaegar did before him. So Jon may accept Melisandre's help. She could help him understand the prophecy and how to use its power. But unfortunately, her help involves burning innocent people alive and killing your own brother with magic shadows. Her advice leads Stannis down a dark path that will probably destroy Stannis. And Melisandre is often wrong about her visions. Her power is treacherous, and her religion is dangerous. In the TV show, after Jon's resurrection, Tormund says that people think Jon is a god. Then the TV show drops that idea. But in the books, religion is increasingly important. The Sparrows rise up and imprison Queen Cersei. The Eastern Red Priests say Daenerys is Azor Ahai and demand a holy war. At Castle Black, Melisandre has religious followers, including Baratheon knights and some watchmen and wildlings. So when Jon miraculously rises from the dead, he could be seen as a religious messiah. Fanatical followers could rally behind him, giving Jon the power to unite armies and win wars. But the Red God is hungry and jealous, demanding human sacrifice and the destruction of other religions. Daenerys might also ally with Red Priests, which could lead to religious war in Westeros, between Jon and Dany with the Red God and young Griff with the Faith of the Seven. If Jon uses the power of Melisandre and R'hllor, he's playing with fire. So Jon will be torn between Targaryen R'hlloric firepower and his icy Stark morality, and this war for his heart will climax when he faces the White Walkers. While Jon is in the south, things will get bad at the Wall. The Night's Watch could fall apart, Stannis is doomed, and the Wall will fall. In the TV show, the White Walkers use a zombie dragon to break the Wall. In the books, it might be Euron who breaks the Wall, with the Horn of Winter, or by stealing one of Daenerys' dragons. But the Wall will fall, and the dead will march south. In the TV show, the battle against the White Walkers lasts one night, one episode at Winterfell. But in the books, this could be a long, grinding, apocalyptic conflict that ravages Westeros. The previous long night is said to have lasted a generation, years of cold and sunless skies, causing mass starvation. This darkness might be caused by a meteor strike. There are legends of fallen stars and comets associated with the long night. There are tales of the White Walkers hunting humans with giant ice spiders, as well as their zombie hordes. So the long night could be a dark, magical apocalypse, an age of wonder and terror for gods and heroes. The world will need a savior. In the TV show, Arya kills the White Walkers, but in the books, Jon is set up as the hero. He swore the watch.
This man just transported me somewhere else for a while. This is why I like perspectives. I'm blown away. And just the visual, it's the whole package. It's like what he wrote to make this video, the imagery around it. Let's just go back a second here. Like this imagery, and then saying it's like an apocalyptic struggle that takes a long time. That's something I want to see. And it's just something that I really don't think people who don't like fantasy can ever really understand. They just won't ever get it. They won't ever get it. Like what fantasy could be, what fantasy is to like us. Man, he's killing this video. This has to be the best video I've seen of him.
In the TV show, Arya kills the White Walkers, but in the books, Jon is set up as the hero. War, the Watch, Oath. He's fought the dead. He's had those prophetic dreams. So how will he stop the White Walkers? In the TV show, the good guys all unite for a big battle to destroy the White Walkers. But is this what the books are leading up to? George Martin criticizes simplistic stories of good guys fighting bad guys. He said, "We don't need any more dark lords and hordes of orcs." George writes morally complex conflicts. Where's the moral challenge here? With the wildlings, Jon realized that his enemies aren't evil, so instead he made peace with them. Is it possible that Jon could also make peace with the White Walkers? Jon wants to learn about the White Walkers, wants to communicate with them, and in the books, the White Walkers can talk. They have their own language, they make things out of ice. George calls them beautiful, elegant, a different sort of life. Maybe the White Walkers have a right to exist. In Book 5, Patrick jokes that Jon will offer the White Walkers hospitality, will welcome them as guests. So maybe Jon will. There are theories that Jon won't destroy the White Walkers. Instead, he'll make a peace deal. It is possible to make agreements with the White Walkers, like Craster gives babies to the White Walkers so they don't attack him.
Wow.
And there's the legend of the Night's King. The Night's King was a commander of the Night's Watch who married a cold woman with blue eyes and made sacrifices to the White Walkers. So there are theories that the previous Long Night ended not with a war, but with a marriage pact, where the Night's King married a White and the Watch agreed to give them babies. There are theories that the Starks are descended from the Night's King and his queen, and that Jon is owed or promised to the White Walkers, that they want him to become a new Night's King. Maybe while Jon is dead, the White Walkers will take over Jon's body, just like they raised those Whites in Book 1. Jon does have a dream where he's armored in ice. Maybe his body will be influenced or marked by the White Walkers. The Night's King fell in love with a pale woman with blue eyes, so maybe the walkers will tempt Jon with a pale blue-eyed woman, like the wildling Val. In Book 5, Val wears a striking white outfit with her blue eyes and a weirwood pin. If she dies, maybe she could then become a zombie seductress to Jon. Jon might get visions from the White Walkers telling him to marry her, that this is the only way to end the long night. Jon could become Lord Snow of the Night Fort, and by giving Val his magic seed and sacrificing a few babies, he could make peace between the White Walkers and humanity. This could be tempting, but marrying a zombie and sacrificing babies to ice demons is maybe not a good peace agreement. It's really a moral corruption, a deal with the devil. The Night's King and Craster's deals didn't permanently stop the White Walkers, so whatever temptation the White Walkers offer, Jon should refuse them. Because the White Walkers might not be evil Dark Lords, but they're also not misunderstood moral people. They seem more like a destructive force of nature, an imbalance in the seasons. They are a contrast to humanity, and a reason for humanity to unite. Unlike the petty, destructive wars of lords, the war against the White Walkers really is worth fighting, for the survival of life itself. George Martin writes about the evil of war, but he does say some wars are necessary, like stopping the Nazis in World War II. So Jon should not make a deal with the White Walkers. It's prophesied that the hero must fight this darkness. The prophecy says that Azor Ahai, or the prince that was promised, will be reborn to lead the fight against the darkness. When Melisandre looks in her flames for Azor Ahai, she sees Jon Snow. As a Stark and a Targaryen, Jon is of ice and fire, and Rhaegar says of the hero that his is the song of ice and fire. Jon is literally a prince who was promised when Ned promised Lyanna. It's prophesied that Azor Ahai will be descended from Aerys Targaryen, and Jon is Aerys's grandson. It's prophesied that Azor Ahai will wake dragons from stone, and Jon will wake his dragon identity in these stone crypts. It's prophesied that Azor Ahai will be reborn beneath a bleeding star, amidst smoke and salt, and there are bloody stars and smoke and salty tears when Jon is killed. It's said that Azor Ahai will wield a flaming sword called Lightbringer. This could be a metaphor for dragons, but it could also be a literal flaming sword. Undead Beric can light a sword on fire with his blood, so maybe undead Jon will light his sword on fire with his blood. It might be that the Dane sword, Dawn, is the true Lightbringer, so maybe Jon will get Dawn and will light it on fire to make it Lightbringer. It all fits. Jon could be Azor Ahai reborn. Daenerys also fits the prophecy pretty well, so Jon and Daenerys might both play a role. The original Azor Ahai forged Lightbringer by sacrificing his beloved wife. In the TV show, Arya destroys the White Walkers by killing their leader, the Night King. In the books so far, there is no Night King, but Melisandre says the White Walkers are controlled by the Great Other, the god of ice and darkness, whose name may not be spoken. This nameless White Walker god sounds like the old gods, the gods of the weirwood trees, who are also described as nameless. In the show, and probably also in the books, the White Walkers were created by the children of the forest with the magic of the old gods, and the White Walkers are often associated with trees. So maybe the Great Other is some kind of evil offshoot of the old gods. In the TV show, we see a frozen weirwood tree where the White Walkers were created. In the books, Bran sees the Heart of Winter, which seems to be the center of White Walker power in the far, far north. So maybe the Great Other is here, at the Heart of Winter, an evil spirit in a frozen tree controlling the White Walkers. And to defeat them, Jon has to destroy this tree. YouTuber David Lightbringer has videos on this theory. He points out that in the TV show, Beric stabs a spiral of corpses with his flaming sword, which could represent burning the spiral frozen tree. This could be Jon's destiny, and to destroy the Great Other, he must journey north. George Martin said that in the final...
Wow. I'm gonna be speechless at the end of this, guys. I really almost feel unprepared to deal with the end of this video. Anything I could say is not going to be as impactful as this. I'm just warning you. I don't know if I can compete here.
Final books we'll see further north than ever before. The journey could be similar to the legend of the last hero set out into the Deadlands with a dragon-steel sword and a dog and his friends, and got the help of the Children of the Forest to defeat the White Walkers. So maybe Jon will journey north with his sword and his dog, guided by Bran's magic. He could assemble an all-star team of badass rangers to join them, fighting the dead, dying one by one. For the final stretch north, beyond the curtain of light at the end of the world, Jon and Daenerys might fly north on their dragons. Maybe Jon will convince Daenerys that the war against the White Walkers is more important than her war for the Iron Throne, that their duty to the realm matters more than their desires. So Jon...
Oh my god, I wish. In the show, that was like one of my major criticisms, was the fact that after battling the Night King and winning in Winterfell, what is the fucking point of having any desire towards the Iron Throne? Like, the turnaround in the show is so bad. Like, they go from having an apocalyptic battle against literal, like, gods of death to, oh, I want to be queen. It's like, we're missing something here. Come on.
Jon and Daenerys will face the heart of winter, and to destroy the White Walkers, they'll need to do more than just burn a tree, because the legends of Azor Ahai and the themes of Jon's story emphasize sacrifice and tough moral choices. The original Azor Ahai killed his wife as a sacrifice to make the sword Lightbringer, so maybe Jon has to kill Daenerys to get her fire into his sword to burn the Great Other. Maybe Daenerys will willingly offer her life to save the world. Will Jon kill his lover? Jon has made sacrifices. He sacrificed Ygritte to protect the realm. He took Gilly's baby to save another. He risked the Night's Watch to save Arya. This could be Jon's ultimate choice between duty and love. Will he kill Daenerys to save the world? Bloodraven and Melisandre might tell Jon that it's worth sacrificing one person for the world, that Jon must take this fiery power and rule as the last Dragon Lord, that it's his destiny because of the prophecy and his magic blood. But this series questions fantasy tropes like destiny, prophecy, and special bloodlines. The magic Targaryen dynasty was often a disaster. Their flawed personalities and their dragons caused terrible destruction.
They're bonkers, aren't they?
They are bonkers.
They're absolutely, they're a right old bunch.
Special bloodlines put awful kings on the throne. The whole feudal class system is a horrific injustice. The moral of this story is not going to be that Jon deserves power because of his Targaryen blood. And prophecy often backfires, like at Summerhall and with Rhaegar and with Stannis. Prophecy will bite your prick off every time. So Jon should not blindly follow prophecy, especially not the prophecy of Azor Ahai. That dude killed his wife to get a sword. Is he really a hero? There's a suspiciously similar legend about the evil Bloodstone Emperor who killed the Amethyst Empress to steal her power. The legendary Grey King killed a female dragon and stole fire power. The Wind Knight married a child of the forest who then died in childbirth, and he rode a dragon. All these legends are of a man who killed a woman and got magic power, and half these guys seem like evil tyrants, not saviors. It might be that the original Azor Ahai actually caused the Long Night, not ended it. Killing some magic woman might have been the original sin, the fire stolen from the gods that unbalanced the cosmos in the first place. Whatever the original Azor Ahai did, it didn't destroy the White Walkers. They came back. So why should Jon repeat this cycle of violence by sacrificing Dany? This choice will define Jon's morality and his identity. Because Jon has the magic blood, he could fulfill the prophecy, sacrifice Daenerys, and rule. But what makes Jon special, what makes him a worthy hero, is not his blood or a prophecy. Jon is a hero because of his choices. Jon learned humility and compassion at the Watch. He was raised as Ned Stark's bastard, and Ned taught him justice and mercy. Jon thinks of Ned when he spares Ygritte. He thinks of Ned when he spares that old man. Surely, when Jon faces Daenerys at the heart of winter, he'll again think of Ned and will spare Daenerys. In Book 1, Ned himself tells Robert to not kill Daenerys, so now Jon can do the same. He can become Ned's true heir by sparing Daenerys. He can reject the temptation of fiery power and prophecy, just as he rejects the White Walkers, and instead make a human, moral choice. Instead of killing Daenerys, Jon might sacrifice himself. Jon has often been willing to give his life for others. In Book 3, he thinks that if he has to die to save the North, then that's what he'll do. Corin taught Jon that self-sacrifice is the meaning of the Night's Watch oath. So after all Jon's struggle with his vows, he could, in the end, keep his oath by giving his life to destroy the White Walkers. Daenerys could stab Jon to forge Lightbringer, or he could stab himself, impale himself on a frozen tree like Odin, giving up his fiery Targaryen blood to burn the Great Other. A heroic self-sacrifice could be a fitting ending to Jon's story, like his fantasy of a glorious death back in Book 1. It's almost too easy. Here's another possibility. Instead of killing himself or killing Daenerys, maybe Jon will sacrifice his dragon, Rhaegal. Because Rhaegal represents Jon's Targaryen side. Rhaegal gives him the power of fire and of flight. Rhaegal is named for Jon's father, represents his legitimacy as a Targaryen king. If Jon kills Rhaegal, he gives up that power. In all the history and lore of this world, there are no examples of a dragon rider killing their own dragon. Because of the magic bond, it would be like killing part of yourself. Killing Rhaegal would be a profound sacrifice, and it could finally resolve Jon's identity crisis. Jon could finally reject his destructive Targaryen side, and instead follow Ned Stark's moral example, giving up his own power to save others. Because Jon is not defined by his blood. He's not a Targaryen. He's not even a Stark. He is Jon Snow, and he chooses to follow Ned's example. Jon could stab Rhaegal with his sword, so the dragon's fire goes into the blade, creating Lightbringer. Then he can stab the frozen tree, burning the Great Other, and destroying the White Walkers. He'll save the world, not by sacrificing others and seizing power, like Azor Ahai and like Tywin and Ramsay and all the other monstrous men in this story. Instead, Jon could make a human, moral choice to save others. Jon will end the Long Night, but there'll still be one more small, sad war. A Song of Ice and Fire is partly George Martin's response to The Lord of the Rings, the classic fantasy story. Jon Snow is like Aragorn. They're both warriors and leaders who fight to save the world. They both have tragic romances. Both are secret heirs to the kingdom. But George questions Aragorn's happy ending, where he marries the girl and rules well for 100 years. Jon's ending will be darker than that. George loves the bit at the end of The Lord of the Rings called The Scouring of the Shire. After the Dark Lord is defeated, the hobbits go home, and they find there's still evil in the world. Saruman took over the Shire, and there's this sad, ugly conflict to remove him. Frodo can't live happily ever after, because he's wounded and traumatized, so instead he sails west, and magic fades from the world of men. It's about the cost of victory, the impact of violence, and the inevitability of change. The heroes save the world, but at great cost. The ending is happy, but also sad. It's bittersweet, and George says the end of A Song of Ice and Fire will be similar. So Jon might also face a sad final conflict. Maybe he'll come to King's Landing so Daenerys can rule, but they'll find Cersei on the throne, vindictively clinging to power, holding the city's civilians hostage. Like in the TV show, Daenerys will probably burn King's Landing, killing thousands of innocent people. In the TV show, she does this deliberately, out of anger and madness. But in the books, it might be accidental because of the wildfire. Cersei, Tyrion, or Jon Con might also be involved. Maybe Daenerys will lose control of her dragon, and Drogon will burn the city against her will. Daenerys struggles to control Drogon in the books. In House of the Dragon, Viserys says dragons cannot be controlled. They are inherently destructive. Like the icy White Walkers, dragonfire is an apocalyptic threat to this world. So, like in the TV show, Daenerys will win the throne, but will be hated by the people and the lords. Visions hint that young Griff will be popular, so after Daenerys burns him and burns King's Landing, no one will want Dany to be their queen, and they'll want her dragon dead, like in the storming of the Dragon Pit. So to bring peace to the realm, Jon might have to bring down Daenerys and kill her dragon. Daenerys sees her dragons as her children. They are her power and her identity as a Targaryen dragon queen. After everything she's lost, if her last dragon dies, she'll have nothing. If Jon kills Drogon, she'd see that as the ultimate betrayal. That could be the prophesied third treason. But Jon may see that the realm can't have peace while a dangerous dragon lives and while Daenerys has the throne. So this will be another painful moral dilemma for Jon. Will he betray his love to protect the realm? Make another tragic sacrifice to save the world from fire, just as he saved it from ice? He will want Daenerys' love. He will want to rule with her, but he'll know that peace is more important than his desires. It will destroy Jon if he has to kill Daenerys. Maybe he could fake her death so that she can escape to the east, tragically separating the lovers. There's lots of possibilities. Maybe we'll make a real Daenerys video to explore her fate. But it makes sense that Jon will bring down Daenerys and that her dragons will die. Because in the books, dragons make magic stronger in the world. If the last dragon dies, magic could fade away, like the end of The Lord of the Rings. It's the end of fantasy, and the beginning of a world more like our own. Another possibility is that instead of killing Daenerys, Jon might have to kill King Bran, because Bran might be a sinister puppet of Bloodraven and the Old Gods. Having a creepy, inhuman tree wizard as king might be a bad thing. And George Martin's original outline of the series said that Jon and Bran would become enemies. The Old Gods seem like a sinister force, manipulating humanity, so maybe, like the dragons and White Walkers, the Old Gods need to be destroyed. Jon might have to reluctantly kill his beloved brother Bran. Whether he kills King Bran or kills Daenerys, Jon will know that he'll be exiled for this murder. So this killing will be another self-sacrifice. Despite all his heroism, he won't get to go home to Winterfell or be a king. He won't get love and glory. He might be widely hated as a traitor and murderer. Jon will give up everything to save a world that rejects him. In Book 1, Benjen said Jon didn't know what he was giving up by joining the Watch. But now Jon has experienced love with Ygritte and Daenerys. He's experienced power at the Wall and on Dragonback, tasted glory in battle. He's no longer a boy, he's a man. He's lived, and now he understands what he's giving up. That's what makes his sacrifice meaningful. So like in the TV show, Jon may be exiled beyond the Wall. He'll be separated from the Starks. But he might get to join the Wild. Tormund says that he'll make Jon a true wildling, and Ygritte was right. Jon likes the free folk life. He had always felt like an outcast, like the wildlings. Maybe Jon will finally get to be with Val, if she's still alive. With the free folk, Jon would be free of war, of politics, of vows. But like Frodo, he'll be wounded. After his death and resurrection and his sacrifices, Jon won't be whole. Maybe he'll be a husk, like Cold Hands and Beric, unable to feel or enjoy life. Maybe zombie Jon will wander to that cave where Ygritte wanted to stay, and there he'll remain, with his memories of warmth, with his loves and losses, forever. George Martin loves fantasy, heroes, romance, and magic, but he sees that the real world is more complex than that. So his characters grow up, they are disillusioned, they learn that the world is not a fairy tale. Good and evil are not black and white, and we can't rely on prophesied noble princes to save the world. So in a complex, real world, what does it mean to be a hero? Jon Snow is a deconstruction of the classic fantasy hero, because he is a secret prince, heir to the kingdom, prophesied to save the world, but he rejects destiny, rejects his birthright, rejects the fantasy tropes. His heroism is realer and more human, because Jon struggles to do the right thing. He makes morally grey choices. He has doubts, temptation, conflicted desires, but he persists and chooses to save others. That's what makes him heroic. It's not because of prophecy or magic, but because people's lives matter. In a complex, cynical, real world, that's the heroism we need. At the end of the series, there'll still be evil in this world, darkness and weakness in every heart, but Jon embodies the eternal human struggle for light in a dark world, a dream of spring. Thanks for watching. We're making more videos about A Song of Ice and Fire and House of the Dragon and Dune, so press and subscribe. We've already made videos about Bloodraven, Rhaegar, and...
Yes, of course.
Jon Snow is a deconstruction of the classic fantasy hero, because he is a secret prince, heir to the kingdom, prophesied to save the world, but he rejects destiny, rejects his birthright, rejects the fantasy tropes. His heroism is realer and more human, because Jon struggles to do the right thing. He makes morally grey choices. He has doubts, temptation, conflicted desires, but he persists and chooses to save.
I can't. That was a reaction. I'm never going to be able to, like, really respond to that in any meaningful way. That was fucking amazing. Those writers that wrote this script are fucking amazing. And whatever, like, perspectives, coming up with, like, theories, you guys let me know. Are those, like, theories that are prevalent throughout the fan base? Or are those more his interpretation? Let me know, because I really don't know. I'm not involved that much in the deep. But holy shit. I love the perspective. I love it. I couldn't imagine having a better... I'm going to go read some books. I'm going to go read those books some more. Those are... And so I think my ultimate question, and I think his as well, really boils down to, what does it all mean? What twist, what turn is he going to make as his resurrected form? And what does that all mean? And I think it comes down to, he summarized it pretty well. Is he going to submit to his Targaryen side and desire power? Or is he going to submit to his Stark side and sort of push for the morality of his father? And he is the main character in all ways, in every way. Just the fact that the Starks are, like, in a very vague sense related to the White Walkers, and he's also related to the Targaryens, and it's an ultimate struggle between two, like, apocalyptic factions of Azor Ahai, the fire of the world, and the ice of the world. Grew up in Winterfell, grew up with the ice, but he's discovering the fire of the Targaryens within him. And I don't know if that's going to unlock something, like, and which is he going to choose, or what is he going to become? Is he going to become something completely new to this world that can really marry or tame ice and fire? Or, like he said, create, like, some sort of diplomatic pact between ice and fire? Because maybe fire is more related to the humans of this world, because ice kills and we use fires and our bodies are warm. So there's some, like, symbolism there where the humans of this world represent, like, the fire god of this world, where ice is always trying to take it back. And, like, ice does, like, compromise, and it, like, retreats. Ice retreats. But just the totality of this video just makes me love this world even more. I don't think, and this is what the community can do, like, books and the writer and all of that it's sacred. But I think the total of what a community can do with the worlds is way more important to stories and storytelling than anything the creator could do. And it inspires me to finish my books. I've said multiple times in book reactions and extras that I don't see myself in my lifetime putting my books out in the totality of that story. I don't think we're at a time. I do and I don't feel like we're at a time period where, not that they will or will not be liked, but that people are ready for what I'm saying. And I also don't think they'll be liked with the current. I watch very carefully, like, the world around me and what type of material people gravitate towards. And like I've said, and I've said about my channel and what I represent, I don't like vapid experiences. I don't like soulless things. Like, I gravitate towards things with like passion and soul in them. And so it's hard for me to think that the things that I'm going to write are going to be received in a way that is going to be looked upon any way that's good. But I don't know until I do. I've been working on these books for almost 2 decades, and I'd really like to, in some sort of way, get some material out there to see what people think, but I don't know if I'm ready. But all in all, I love this alt shift video. I'm probably gonna watch this again at some point, like casually, or maybe I'll watch it with you guys on live, because also something fun that's happening soon, Patreon is coming out with live streaming. So they already have live streaming, but it's through YouTube. But Patreon is coming out with live streams, so I'll be able to stream directly to Patreon and just do whatever I want. And that's what I've always wanted, was to just have a place to go back and forth together on there. But we'll see how that goes. I think it's coming out soon, within the next 2 weeks. But we'll see. I'm blown away. I really don't have words for what I just watched. And I think it's like some of the most impactful things I've experienced with this medium so far, with lore videos, and it adds so much weight, and there's so many different branches he's thought of, like the sacrifice angle, the power angle, the like break even angle, the killing all the power in the world, killing the dragons representing the fire, killing the old god, like the werewood trees representing the old gods representing the White Walkers, like just ending it all, clean slate, and him being the person to do that, and balancing that with the prophecy of Zor Ahai, that he's going to kill his wife, and that is somehow going to give him magical powers, and he's going to become powerful. But like he said, that didn't work all the times that it happened before. So it might be a catch-22 that you do that assuming that you're going to be helping, but you become the evil in the world by doing it. It corrupts you and it corrupts the world to the point where the gods like rebel and create dragons, create the White Walkers to bring the experiment of this world, the humans of this world, to an end. Or it could be 2 different gods competing for like total dominance over this world, where the fire god has had a ton of success, having the Targaryens come about, having the Targaryens rule. So there's a lot more here, and it's a lot deeper than I thought it'd be. And it has a lot of, obviously with this, like it has a lot of angles you could go at it to like extrapolate on what's going on and what could happen. And I'm glad, like a lot of people are like, and I've heard this before, like this sentiment that people are like, I wish those books had come out. But also I've heard people say that if the books hadn't come out, we wouldn't have a decade worth of speculation. Like this video wouldn't have existed with him coming up with ideas of what could happen and all of the good it does, like to create a channel, to create content, but also to create deeper meaning within the community. I'm impressed, honestly. And I'm not going to keep you forever, so give me any comments, any questions you have for me, anything you want me to extrapolate on more in the comments, or I'll make a separate like video about it. Or we can talk during a live stream if we're ever watching this again. And the real Tyrion Lannister is coming up soon. I'll do that soon. And if we get 50 likes on this extras video, I will post the real Tyrion Lannister. Yep, stick with me. We got more House of the Dragon coming out. We have other TV shows coming up. Plenty of stuff going on the channel. And thank you for being here. And thank you for watching Immersive Reactions. Thank you, Jeremiah, Shaquille Rolay, and Mark for being our top members of the month. Thanks for watching. Check out our breakdown video for more insights. And do not forget to like and subscribe for more reactions.
For full uncut content, join us on Patreon.
We hope to see you in the next one.